latest in college esports from the students that play.
Go behind the scenes at the schools that game.
The only place where esports are
on campus.
What up, though, everybody, and welcome to CheckpointXP On Campus, your number one resource for collegiate esports. I am your host, Norris Howard. We are joined by the wonderful people out at the UNLV studios, Jacob Brothers, Daniel Agbuya. Say what's up, guys.
Hello, all you beautiful people. Howdy.
Yeah, we also explore the world beyond, which is where we're going to start right now with a major decision coming from the state of Kentucky. Now, we covered a story last week on the show talking about Fortnite becoming an official high school and college esport. Now, we've had a report coming out of Kentucky saying that statewide, they are no longer accepting Fortnite as an esport. The Play Versus platform will still be used, but they will not be participating statewide in Fortnite. So, guys, how do you feel about this? Why is it that they're making this decision, and do you think it's the right decision?
Well, honestly, for me, I think they did mention in the article there was an issue of timing because it was close to an anniversary of an unfortunate event that happened in the state. So that part I do understand. But here's the thing, Fortnite itself is probably one of the most cartoony games I've ever seen, and that's a concentrated effort. There's no actual gore. It's a very cartoony art style, so I think it falls under cartoon violence personally.
Well, I think that we can file this under the category of OK Boomer to start.
Woof! Just hot take.
I mean, that's definitely what happened here. And then, spin zone for Kentucky, at least, with the dying industry of the chess team, the quiz team.
You're just gonna alienate so many
the trivia people. Now Kentucky high schools can dominate that field because everyone else is playing the most popular video game in the world. So, go Kentucky high school, everything else, right? Woo.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing here that is also a major part of it is, as Daniel was alluding to, is that the main reason they're saying that they won't participate in this game is the violence, saying that it's a shooter game, and specifically a statement from their athletic association, the Kentucky High School Athletic Association, came out and said that violent video games and shooter games have no place in their esports plans whatsoever. So not only is this saying Fortnite won't be a part of their esports plans, but this potentially could mean no Call of Duty, no CSGO. Obviously, those are more violent games, but this could open the door for even other games that have some sort of element of gunplay within them. And so I pose the question back to you guys. Jacob, you said this is an OK Boomer situation, but citing the issue of gun violence in high schools, is this not, at least something high schools should be thinking about pretty closely?
They can maybe think about it, but as soon as you start saying we're not going to play this, we're going to play this, then we pretend that games cause violence. And then that just starts the whole circular argument all over again.
And I know, a game I didn't really see mentioned there is Overwatch. And Overwatch is probably
a shooter.
It is a shooter, and it's probably the most popular shooter there is right now. And yet that's still relatively embraced in high school communities because, again, stylized action, an aesthetic, and not really violent. So where's I don't really like the line they're trying to put here personally.
In Kentucky, in Super Smash Brothers, Joker's neutral special is called Gun. So if you're playing Smash in your tournaments, I'm gonna be disappointed and a little concerned for your students.
Yes, how dare they?
Yeah. In a statement, the CEO of Play Versus, Delane Parnell, said this to the Washington Post. He said that Fortnite is a club esport, and therefore it does not fall into the jurisdiction of the Kansas High School Athletic Association. So there's some muddied waters there as well. But I'm going to be following this story very closely. We'll see if anything changes. But as it stands right now, you have the entire Bluegrass State that won't be participating in Fortnite, and I think that's a massive loss to the Fortnite scene, the high school Fortnite scene as a whole. Everybody should have an opportunity to play the game and participate in the esport. But we're going to move on from that, and we're going to talk a little bit about not just one of the biggest stories in esports, but also one of the biggest stories in the world. That is right. Coronavirus has touched the world of esports as well. And the Overwatch League was forced into canceling matches. All of their matches in China for this season have been canceled and will need to be rescheduled. Guys, this is a really big story, and you know, obviously our hearts go out to everyone affected by the coronavirus and all the unfortunate deaths that have come from the disease. But what do you guys feel about this, and how do you think it'll impact the upcoming Overwatch League season?
Well, you know, I can only speak to it on maybe like the on the campus level, because I did speak to our health services here, and like last month they kind of gave us also a warning, kind of like giving us precautions. So here's what they told me: make sure you practice good hygiene. So wash your hands. If you have a weak immune system, make sure you cover your face, and you should be fine.
Well, it is kind of crazy thinking about the repercussions of this, because I didn't even think about the Overwatch League with the home and away games, and now it's like, well, now we gotta reschedule a whole huge section of this league. Now, when you look at it from the Overwatch League standpoint, of these 4 teams, the only team that did well in playoffs was the Spark of Hangzhou. So, 4 teams that have to be rescheduled, this probably isn't worst. Well, I don't want to say that, but I don't think this will offset the Overwatch League too horribly. But it is just awful that this even has to happen to begin with.
Yeah, and other esports have been affected as well. The LPL, the Chinese League of Legends pro scene, has also postponed matches. So this whole coronavirus outbreak has been absolutely devastating for the country of China as well as the world of esports. Again, we'll be following this story very closely in terms of what's going to be going on and how those matches get rescheduled. But it's good to know that universities are on top of it, that they've sent out correspondence and emails to the student bodies and letting you guys know that your tournaments and your competition shouldn't be affected if you're not nasty and you just wash your hands.
So I've been doing some research here. Coronavirus is not the next Black Plague, guys. It really isn't. It is only really deadly to people who already had weak immune systems. So when I go to campus and some guy comes up to me saying, "Oh, I better cover my face," and he pulls out a mask as a joke and just laughs at me because, I happen to be, Asian. And I'm getting that. So, guys, use your brain, look at the facts, and don't believe the mass media hysteria that's been happening here, because it's not that bad. Relax. Use your brain. Sorry, I just had to get that off.
That's right. And also, don't forget to wash your hands. But we are going to be right back with more Checkpoint XP on campus, where we're going to have Aquinas and their Overwatch team. We're going to have one of their players have a quick conversation with us here at Checkpoint XP on campus. And we're going to get an update from the CSL and Collegiate Rocket League. So make sure you guys are staying tuned for that. So stick around. More for Checkpoint XP on campus coming right up.
Start your engines and record your fastest lap at this year's Forza Motorsport 7 WGN Championship, driven by FAP. Qualify to compete in the Grand Finals in Toronto. There's a $20,000 prize pool and a chance to show off your real-life racing skills with a full track day experience. Find us and race at the Esports Zone at the Canadian International Auto Show.
Welcome back to Checkpoint XP on campus, your number one resource for collegiate esports. I'm your host, Norris Howard, but we're going to take a detour and slide it over to Aquinas College out in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where they have sat down with one of their top Overwatch players, Skol, and what it means to be a collegiate esports athlete.
My name is Audrey Fisk. My favorite role to play is probably support. It's what I've put most of my hours into. Aside from the move, cross country. The process has been a little different because in Utah Valley I was mostly a support role, and here I'm playing more of a flex role, so I've got to broaden my talents here a little bit. It was very satisfying. The team was pretty pumped about it. Good feelings all around. It's a nice thing to have, I guess, on your gaming resume. I like the strategy behind it. I like thinking, countering picks and making strategies that either work or don't work. You just gotta go with it and figure it out. I like that aspect of it, mostly. Yeah, there's a bunch. There's a long list, I'm sure, but probably just the toxicity. There should be a way to help that, bring it down. As a solo player, it's not very fun grinding as a solo player. Maybe there's a way that Blizzard can make that more enjoyable.
Thanks out to Aquinas College and Skol for that awesome interview. We're going to have more coming up on Checkpoint XP on campus about Rocket League and about League of Legends, and we're going to talk about video game movies as well. So make sure you guys are here for that. More coming from Checkpoint XP on campus.
Hey everybody, Robbie Landis here from Checkpoint XP, and these are your CSL Power Rankings. In Dota 2, Stony Brook University remains in the top 3, as they have all year. They've made it to the LAN event the last 2 years, and if they continue their performance, they'll likely make it to the Grand Finals again this year in April. The University of Illinois at Chicago has been performing well all year, as seen by their consistently high standing in the Power Rankings. They were an underdog team last year that achieved second place at Grand Finals. This year, they're top contenders for the championship. The Rochester Institute of Technology is uncharacteristically absent from the Power Rankings. The two-time Grand Champions are the only team from the Grand Finals last season that are not present on the Power Rankings. They underwent roster changes and have not been as dominant as they have in the past. And now let's take a look at the full rankings.
We might have a fight breaking out. I don't think Carlton's scared. They might just commit here. Snappy comes out. Let's see it, Ottawa. They're going in for the push. We have the double chain frost. This is not how Ottawa want to start the fight outside their base, Ricky. The chain frost is going everywhere. First, we're going to have Disruptor fall. On the backside, Zor's going to take out his lane opponent, Bloodseeker. Then he turns to the mid lane. Now the bottom lane, core after core after core. Zor can't be stopped.
In League of Legends, the University of British Columbia clinched the Northwest region after a clean 2-0 victory over the University of Calgary. They're now 10-0 and in first place in the Northwest Division. Despite a tough 2-1 series against the second place team of the division, U of G Toronto successfully vanquished their foes and remains number 1 in Northeast 7. The University of Waterloo faced a tough opponent in Ryerson University this week. Despite losing a game, they managed to win the set 2-1 and continue to top Northeast 4 with a flawless 10-0 record. 4-game losses prove how resilient this team is. Even with a few game losses, they defy the odds and win the set regardless. To note, there were no change in the power rankings from last week, but let's take a look.
Long.
Go. Like, you have teleport priority with Dr. Pi. He can just stay down there. Kill ABC right now.
Yeah, they want to. He's just buying time, though. They need to be careful how far they chase him because the Baron down to the center. No, steal, baby! Adam Warlock is in, but will he be taken out? They're trying on the retreat now. Useless Vein.
Over in CSGO, York University continued their 11-week winning streak. They're the only undefeated team in their region, North 2. University of California Santa Cruz holds the number 2 spot in this power ranking, but they're undefeated in their region, the Southwest. Some matches remain unreported as of this ranking. The top 3 teams in the power ranking continue to be undefeated, and York will finish the season undefeated if they win their match next week. Let's take a look at those rankings.
Oh, this is such a clever play. They rotate back up, but they've got the barrel of Pat in the way. He gets one. He even gets a second. Oh my God, Pat! What are you? Oh my God, Pat! Stop. What the hell is this? Stop! Pat! I freaked out just a little bit there.
I've died and been reborn at the hand of Pat.
For more about CSL and their power rankings, head on over to our website, CheckpointXP.com.
Welcome back to Checkpoint XP on campus, the #1 resource for collegiate esports. Your host Norris here, And we're going to toss it right back to the studio for my guy. The Galaxy Brain returns, this time in the world of League. Jacob Brothers, what is going on Summoner's Rift in the collegiate space, my guy?
Blow our minds, Galaxy
The brain just gets bigger, apparently. So there's 2 games that I watched this week that I wanted to talk about. One of them being Maryville, because God bless Maryville. But also Mountain West had a little thing going on this week, and they streamed it. It was actually pretty cool. But I picked out Nevada versus Hawaii because it seemed like a fun matchup. So it was just.
Yeah, we're gonna be completely unbiased here because we are UNLV.
Yeah, and we don't like Nevada, but unfortunately this was Nevada's game. There was a 2-0 sweep. Both the games were pretty much the same story. Game 1 kill count was 13-26, and then game 2 was 25-12. So almost the same exact kill counts in both games for the same teams. But even though 13-26 sounds like a lot, it wasn't really like that. Like Hawaii was in it pretty much the entire game until the snowball effect happens near the end of every match. But because what I was noticing, well, first off, Nevada, Skol Chaos, their mid laner, dope. He's legit. We like him.
Keep your eye on this guy.
Maybe he had a performance of 12-1 and 12-1 and 5 in game 1, and then he had a performance of 9-2 and 7 in game 2. But also everyone else was doing well too. But what I noticed about Hawaii is that they were very good at finding 2v1 fights, but they would only win if it was a 2v1 fight or a 3v2 fight. So they had to put all this effort into killing like one guy, and then Nevada would be like, oh, by the way, we have 4 other players. So hate to break it to you. But yeah, both those games kind of went the same way, snowball effect ending it. But I also want to talk about Maryville versus Columbia College.
Your boy, Maryville.
Well, also Columbia College, a top 10 team. So this wasn't College League of Legends. This was that ASU GSV seminar thing that's going on right now. But I wanted to talk about this game because this is potentially a finals match. And it did go 3 maps. So game 1, kill count 6 versus 18 Maryville. Value and Iconic are awesome, is kind of what I got from that game. They're not playing Evan RL right now, who's a player we talked about, and they're playing Value instead. And Value's crushing it.
Is there a reason why they're not playing him?
Not that I can see. I think they're just like how Value's playing with the team right now.
Okay.
Game 2 went 45 minutes long, which Maryville's not used to. That's where Columbia won in a 20 versus 10 kill count. But they kind of won because Misty Stumpy was being fed as Kennen. If you're fed as Kennen and you have spell items, you're going to win that game. And that's exactly what happened. Then in game 3, kill count was 16-25, Maryville, so closer than Maryville's used to. Value had a 9-1 and 11 performance. And so the main takeaway that I got from watching Maryville is that if their bot lane is happy, the team is happy. They were like in game 1, they won without top being fully pushed and bot lane fully pushed. And when they won game 3, bot lane was fully pushed. And Value's bottom lane teammate, Shady, is a saint. God bless him. Played Nautilus or Thresh every game. And his assist counts were 11, 8, and 13.
Those are some solid numbers for assists.
So this man was pulling, and Value was, as you could say, getting value. And then as far as College League of Legends, because I wanted to check in on Maryville as well, they played Western Kentucky University, and both matches were less than 20 minutes. So, as far as their College League of Legends campaign goes, no one's safe. No one's safe.
Maryville really is playing absolutely amazing. And Nevada also made a trip up to Boise State and played them as well. They were able to win their series versus Boise State, and they looked real competent. I hate to say this to you guys, but Nevada looks incredibly strong. I haven't seen too many, schools look as dominant, Maryville being one of them. But they continue to look really, really good, and I'm excited to see where, sort of their tourney takes them, because if Nevada keeps their run of form and Maryville keeps their run of form, this very well in some bracket, whether it be CSL, Collegiate, League of Legends officially, or a side tourney somewhere else, this is very well 2 teams that you could see match up with each other in a finals or a semifinal situation. So
yeah, what it comes down to is focus. When teams know what they want and they just execute on it, they're going to win over like 70% of their matches.
Yeah, most definitely. And so we're, again, going to keep our eyes on these 2 teams as well as what's going on in Collegiate League of Legends as a whole. So make sure you guys are tuned into those squads, because they're doing a lot of great stuff in League of Legends right now. But we're getting ready to close out the show with our next segment, so make sure you guys are here as we talk a little bit about the best video game movies.
welcome to the official opening of the New England College Esports Arena.
We're the premier esports program here in New England, all of New England, not just New Hampshire. As you can see, this place looks like a spaceship.
Welcome back to Checkpoint XP on campus, and you guys know we like to close the show out with something a little bit fun. So we've got a great personality in the studio with Jacob and Daniel. We've got one of the newest members of the team, Izzy Vega. He's gonna slide in and talk about his favorite video game movies, and I am going to judge just how stupid Daniel and Jacob's choices are. So, guys, take it away.
All right.
What, no fortune teller costume?
So with the Sonic movie coming out next week, I wanted to go over 3 movies from the previous decade in preparation, and each of these represent one. You know, we got Mortal Kombat for the 90s, the Resident Evil franchise for the 2000s, and Pokemon Detective Pikachu. So MK, not the first video game movie, that goes to Super Mario Bros., but it is the first successful video game movie, and for the most part, it was faithful to the games. You have all the original characters, you have the special moves, you have Scorpion Skid over here, you have Johnny Cage's Nut Punch, you have all these things, right? You have a great soundtrack, even the unofficial theme for the game, it went platinum.
Yeah, me personally, I do enjoy the game for what it did to the series. A lot of stuff that they established in the games, in the movies they established in the game. So one, Samsung has a really creepy fixation on Sonya Blade, and they actually kept that. And 2, Kano is also now officially Australian. I did like that. That was a really cool change they did.
It's one of those movies where it's like, it's corny, but it's a good corny. It's a great corny.
Yeah.
When he says, come over here, and it feels like it drags on for like the whole movie, you're like, I love this.
Yeah. It is 90s personified, just like games.
Yeah, and I mean, my only complaints with that would be that Sub-Zero dies by ice, that's his element, and Scorpion dies by fire and blows up, he's a hell demon. But we do get to see the fatalities, we get to see the friendship moves, we see all these things.
What's your next movie?
So Resident Evil, 3 movies in the 2000s. Daniel, he summarized it best.
The Resident Evil series is Paul W.S. Anderson playing fan fiction with his series and having his wife act out as his OC.
And I also want to add to that they took fan favorite characters like Chris, Claire Redfield, Leon Scott Kennedy, and Jill Valentine, and are just completely wasted because they want to put Alice, or Mila, his wife, front and center.
I mean, my summary of the movie is that these are movies in the 2000s that came out. You look at a trailer, you look at the movie, you're like, yeah, this is a 2000s movie.
And we can all look forward to Paul W.S. Anderson doing the same thing to the Monster Hunter series, because he's writing it, directing it, and guess what? Mila Jovovich is in it.
You can have a dog run through the window of that movie too.
And despite all these criticisms about it, it is the most successful video game movie as it stands. But moving on,
until Valentine's
ready
Day.
For the best one, we got Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Now this one's the most successful live action in terms of critical reception and box office. What did you guys think about that?
That's because it's great.
Let me tell you about the Pokemon Detective Pikachu movie. I liked it.
Yeah, no, he is adorable.
Yeah.
Pikachu, I mean. Then the action was great. The plot was a little, this R that's not Team Rocket is gonna make these Apom upset. You're like, sure.
Yeah.
You know what I liked about the movie? It was an original-ish story set in the Pokemon world, which is what I wanted from Pokemon.
Yeah, I had to explain to my coworker's 4-year-old son what telepathy was when he asked how Mewtwo was talking to people. And so I think that alone shows that this movie did some awesome things for adults and kids.
I do wish we got some more battles though, because it's just in the background.
And
they just tease you.
That's
but
what sequel's for, man.
Exactly, and it is in the works, just like Resident Evil and Mortal Kombat. And moving
That's
on,
weird,
God bless him.
Our main feature. What are your thoughts on Sonic?
This is my year, okay? I am so happy to be alive in 2020. This movie does not look bad.
And that's after the redesign,
Yeah,
right?
well, after the trailer first came out, I was like, this is like a 4 out of 10. But after the redesigns, they showed jokes that were funny.
Yeah.
I was like, this has potential to...
Looks a little bit better.
This could be good.
Could definitely be good.
And so I'm actually looking forward to it because it personifies the character well. The humor appears to be intact. And they have Jim Carrey. So I feel like there's a good recipe for success with this movie.
Let me pose a question to you, Jacob. What are the odds are we're going to see our favorite Sonic friends like Big the Cat, Cream the Rabbit, Blaze the Cat?
I'm betting on a post-credit scene with Tails or Knuckles.
Definitely.
But nothing.
What about Rouge the Bat?
We don't want that. I can safely say that for a live-action movie, we probably do not need that.
Oh, prude.
And lastly, so you think Sonic will go fast?
Oh, he's gonna go fast. Will there be a Chaos Emerald? Probably not, but he will go fast.
What about a Chow?
If there's a Chow, then it's a 10 out of 10 movie for me.
All right,
Instantly.
We'll find out next week, though.
Oh, I cannot wait, dude.
And we'll get back to you on that one.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna talk about it.
Well, that's going to be it from Checkpoint XP on campus. Listen, all of those movies are really cool. They're really fun to watch. You guys are forgetting, obviously, best video game movie is the Street Fighter movie with Raul Julia, because that is the best performance ever committed to film, obviously. But we're going to return to that. We're going to talk about Sonic after it comes out. We're definitely going to try to get a review and opinion from Jacob Brothers, our absolute resident Sonic fan. And we're also going to have more in collegiate esports and video games and news from you guys. So make sure you are here next week because we hope and demand that you return for Checkpoint XP on campus. I am your host, Norris Howard. Thanks to all of our production help out there, and everyone at UNLV who helps out with the show. Daniel and Jacob, our desk hosts, as well as the production team, and our producer here in Detroit, Weird Beard. So make sure you guys come back for more Checkpoint XP on campus.
Take care of yourselves, guys.
Thank you.
Love you long time.